Hi, this is Tennille Felbush, and today I'm going to discuss the definition essay as it applies to an argumentative 5-paragraph essay structure. So before you begin any essay, you want to make sure you know the basic requirements. So let's take a look at some ideas on how to begin this. Okay, before you create your definitional essay, you want to know your general topic and what it is you're defining. What are you defining? It could be that you're defining a word or an event or a news story or a situation. So you want to make sure you know exactly from the course description and the assignment and the instructor what it is you're defining. If you're in my current classes, you're defining something about organ sales or donation, a specific case, event, news story, something about organ sales or donation. And the more specific you are, the better, of course. You want to categorize something, you want to label something as part of your argument, so you want to make sure that the audience knows exactly what it is that you're defining. And the narrower it is, the better. So one way to do this is to Google search your item that you're defining. Just for some background information to get started. So in my current class on organ sales or donation, you'd want to look for maybe a news story on organ sales or donation to find out something that has happened concerning organ sales or donation. So I have a sample link here to a news story about an organ trafficker. So let's take a look at that. Okay, this is a case of an organ trafficker, Levi Isaac Rosenbaum. So that's one detail in the story. You could possibly define his actions, you could define his character, you could define something about what happened in this situation, maybe this court case or something he's done or some part of his character. So once you found something under your general topic that interests you to define in your own words, in your own argument, take some notes about what happened, figure out some of the details about it. So you can start brainstorming some opinion that you have about it, and then constructing or choosing a label, a way to, in one word, really describe what your thoughts, what your opinion, what your argument is. And so an adjective of that part or that piece or that situation or event. So for instance, I could label this transaction or one of the transactions here as ethical or unethical. I could label Levi as a viable businessman. I could label his acts as criminal. I wouldn't want to label this as legal or illegal though, because that's more of almost a dictionary definition. It's obvious that there's a law against selling organs, so you don't want to do a dictionary or medical or a straightforward definition label. You want to find something that is debatable. So once you have your focus case or event or situation and your label, let's take a look at some ideas for testing that label to see, hey, do I really have a debatable definition or label? So like I said, if I chose Levi's case, I could define something about the case as ethical or unethical, socially responsible or not, criminal or honorable. I could define an organ as property or not as property. Those would be some different labels that I could use that, you know, people might argue for and argue against, so I know it's debatable. So an example here I have for that debatable term or label or definition is the word type adjective. I enjoyed playing Mad Libs in my classes when I was in school. You may have also played Mad Libs. So if you have, think back on your experience playing Mad Libs and think about adjectives. Adjectives are descriptive words. You had some description of a certain situation or a certain word in Mad Libs. So this is kind of a metaphor for what you're doing here in the definitional essay. But of course, you won't have a blind situation like in Mad Libs where you don't know exactly what it is you're defining, which can make for some funny situations. You will actually know well what event, what news story that you're defining, so that you don't leave your readers in the dark and they can follow your argument. Here's another way of testing your label or your definition to make sure that it's debatable. I am an identical twin, and I was born an identical twin. So that label of identical twin is not a label that's debatable. It's almost a medical term. It's a term that describes a situation, and people would not argue with the fact that that some twins are identical, because it really is a medical term. My twin sister and I were from the same egg. We have the same genes. So this is not really debatable. It's more of a medical term. Although if I wanted to have some fun with this, I might try to argue that twins are psychic, because a lot of people would argue for and against the idea that maybe twins have some kind of psychic connection. And I'll tell you now that I don't really think that my twin sister and I are psychic, although we've had the same dream before in some interesting situations. Whatever connection we have, I don't know if it's psychic. It might be something else, but I don't know if I would actually argue for the idea that we are psychic. So have some fun with your label, be creative, make sure it's a description, something debatable for your certain case. And in my class, that would be some event or situation or piece of organ sales or donation. So once you have your focal point or event or situation, and you have a label for it or a beginning of your own definition, make sure that you research and see what others have said about your label. What does it mean, for instance, to be ethical or unethical in business practices or in your particular case's situation? And also take a look at similar cases besides Levi's case. What other cases are there? What have people said about Levi's case and other cases of organ sales in this case? Maybe do some comparing and contrasting of the opinions on organ sales, or your focus for your definition. See what people say about that situation or that word or whatever it is you're defining. And of course, for academic essays, you want to make sure that you're using your college library's academic journal peer-reviewed search for most of your sources. So again, a definition essay is an argument. You can think of it as showing that something fits or doesn't fit under a certain label based upon your research, based upon your ideas or your opinion, based upon the details about that case or example. So as you move from brainstorming to outlining, make sure that you have a thesis statement with your argument, which in this case is whether or not your case or word or situation fits your definition label. So one way to do that is to use a because clause. So here's an example of that. Organ sales like those in the case of trafficker Levi, Isaac, Rosenbaum, are unethical because reason 1, reason 2, reason 3. You could also think of these as criteria. Criterion 1, criterion 2, criterion 3. So make sure that you have reasons why you think your case, maybe this Levy or Levi, I'm not sure which way to say it, is an unethical business person. You can find, I'm sure, 3 different reasons to support that or to oppose that. Maybe you think he is ethical or unethical in his business practices. Either way, you want to create 3 reasons why based upon the evidence. Okay, once you have your case or situation and the label for it or your definition, then you want to start building your 3 reasons why it fits that category or that label or definition that you've created. They're not, depending on which side that you've taken. In any 5-paragraph essay structure, you'll have an introduction and a conclusion as well, and you can have some fun with those. You can create a grabber to start your introduction, maybe a quote from the case or situation, or a quote from a famous person about the word or label that you're using to categorize or define your situation. So hopefully this has given you some ideas on how to start researching and brainstorming and labeling your definition arguments. Happy hunting!